We are here on the Mescal Movie Set in Benson, Arizona. It's one of two studios, the other being Old Tucson in Tucson, Arizona, where the movie Tombstone with Kurt Russell was filmed. We're going to look at the buildings used there. This is the Redemption Saloon, built for Quick and Dead, and it replaced several of the buildings used in Old Tombstone. And on the left, coming up, is the livery stable. It was used in many movies, but let's listen about how it was used in Tombstone.
They filmed Tombstone in '93. Kevin Jarre, when he read the manuscript, he wanted to have one of the iconic buildings from Tombstone, so he chose Shefflin Hall, which would have been pretty much historically accurate because it did exist when the Earps came to town. But after a visit to Tombstone, he fell in love with the Birdcage Theater, which wasn't built until 2 years later. And so he chose to include that in the film. The way he did that was he built a facade here in front of the livery. He set it out enough so that the actors could enter off of the screenshot and then come out the front door, and it looked like they were coming out of the theater. And the theater did include the caption above the door, 1881, when it was originally built, even though the movie was before that. So down this road you'll see the two houses. The one on the left is Virgil's. Behind that is Boot Hill. And then on the right is Wyatt's house. When they came into town, they came from back there by Boot Hill and up this road and then on down to the motel. The most memorable scene that you'll remember from Virgil's house is when Dana Delaney was coming to warn them that something was afoot, and as she's talking, a shadow comes by the window. Allie thinks it's Virgil coming home early, so she opens the door and in comes the cowboy blasting away. So memorable to the Wyatt house is when Wyatt and Morgan are sitting on the porch after the OK Corral shootout. A wagon goes by with the 3 dead cowboys on it, and Morgan says, "This isn't what I was expecting." So
this is Virgil's cottage in the movie, and off to the right was Wyatt's in the movie Tombstone. Back on the main street, just past the Redemption Saloon, we see the marshal's office. The red building past it is the telegraph office. The assay office is sandwiched in between the two and set back, but the sign is visible in this image. This is where Virgil rescues a boy about to be run over by a horse and gives him back to his mother. The yellow building was the Campbell and Hatch Billiard Hall, where Morgan was shot while playing billiards. The red building was the Oriental Saloon. It was 2 stories in the movie. Across the street, the 2-story building was the Crystal Palace. The 2 buildings are actually located across from each other in the same orientation in the real Tombstone. The blue building next to the Crystal Palace was the Woodhead and Gay Groceries. The trading post is where the facade was for the OK Corral, and the brick-faced building next to it was the sheriff's office. The white building was a Can-Can restaurant where Curly Bill and Johnny Ringo were sitting when the Earps drove up in a covered wagon about to leave town. Wyatt tells Bill it's over. Bill's response was one word: bye. The brown 2-story building next to it was a hotel in the movie. It was also used for the interior of the sanitarium where Doc dies later. Going back to the other side of the street, the yellow 2-story building was the Grand Palace Hotel, and is first seen when the Earps first arrive in Tombstone and meet Johnny Bean. The opening scene, when the cowboys shoot up the wedding ceremony, was actually shot at this mission at old Tucson Studios. Back at Mescal, the green building was Andy's Club and Saloon. Next to it was the Key West Cigar Shop, and beyond that was the tent that was the opium den that Curly Bill came out of and started shooting up the town. He broke windows in Andy's club before Marshal Fred White came out of the Oriental and was killed trying to disarm Bill. While Fred's death was quick in the movie, in reality it took 2 days for him to die, and he gave a statement exonerating Bill, saying the shooting was accidental. The last building on the main street was the Arizona Brewery in the movie. Hope you enjoyed it. And to steal Santee's line, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on down the trail.